absolutely know.
Oh, you absolutely know? Where is it?
Our story is a deeply personal one. It can be difficult to talk about it sometimes just because we're talking about, the joy of our lives.
So when Brian and I found out that we were pregnant, we were thrilled. And we'd also planned to take a little time away. So the typical baby moon that parents go through, first-time parents go through.
We decided to go down to the U.S. Virgin Islands, and before we went, we had one last checkup. Doctors, everything's great. We come back on a Monday night. Her cramping became worse. Her spotting was more pronounced, and it was clear that something was wrong.
Brian and I went into the doctor's office, just thought it would be hopefully just a normal checkup.
He takes one look at her. He says, "You're having a miscarriage." And Sophia's hands just came to her eyes and she started sobbing.
I think I blocked out that moment from my memory because it was so unreal and so shocking.
This didn't make sense because we were so healthy. So he told us to get to the hospital as soon as we could.
Shortly thereafter, they weren't able to stop the contraction, so took me in for an emergency C-section.
They pulled Nate out. And I remember being so afraid to look at him. He weighed 630 grams, less than 1.5 pounds. He received an emergency baptism because we just weren't sure if he was going to live.
I was 23 weeks pregnant exactly when I delivered.
We had talked about decisions we might have to make. The baby comes and he's so sick and he's so far from being better, and chances are he's not going to be better. Do we just let him die?
The NICU was just a brand new experience for us, but it was going to be an incredibly long road.
That was the start of a 4-month journey in the NICU where every day was an up and down. You didn't know if it was going to be a good day, you didn't know if it was going to be a bad day. At 2 weeks old, he has open heart surgery.
And he couldn't breathe on his own, so he was hooked up to everything you can imagine.
We tried to be as positive as possible, but in that room, in the NICU, it is so hard to be positive. When you're in there, you're all alone.
Thankfully, through some close family friends, we were connected with Sarah at the March of Dimes, and she was just an amazing resource. I can't tell you how valuable she was during this experience.
Whether just be coming over to see how we were that day or asking if we needed anything. Had Sarah not been there, would our son still be alive? Probably. Would we be as mentally healthy as we are today? Probably not.
I think also what we really appreciated was the community of parents going through the same situation.
So when Sophia was admitted to the hospital, when the doctors came in to give her medication, they said, "We need to give you a steroid or this medication that will hasten your son's lung development so that in case he does come out, his lungs are stronger than they normally would be." And that's a drug called surfactant. The research that developed surfactant was funded by the March of Dimes. And so without that research, I don't care to guess what would happen.
It doesn't matter who you are. The human body is the human body. It can happen to anyone. They said one day we're in the Caribbean, 72 hours later we're in a hell. We're in a personal hell. The March of Dimes is an organization that is dedicated to trying to minimize the number of people who go through that experience.
Nate is completely healthy. Nate looks and acts and is a completely healthy little boy. He's full of life. He is so curious about everything.
It's like the little boy from Jerry Maguire, the human head weighs 8 pounds, like that's our son.
Since then he's developed tremendously, and looking at him today you just never even know that he had such a harrowing experience as a brand new baby.
He's the son that I always wanted and more. Because not only did he survive, he thrived, and it's just, a very, very special little boy.